I last night started playing a new video game. We started on stream at like probably 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock. I probably played it for an hour and a half to 2 hours on stream. I stopped for dinner, so probably like 45 minutes, and then I played it until midnight. And that's all I did yesterday. And you know what? I went to my bed afterwards and I pulled up YouTube videos on how to play games.
You're a savage.
And then I woke up this morning and I was trying to figure out if I could wake up early enough to play it before you came over to do this. I get so obsessed with video games. I feel like I'm like this in general. I get like really obsessed about a hobby. And that's all I can think about. Like I have to play it.
Do you think you have an addictive personality? I don't think you do, but
I don't, except for with like hobbies. I don't know, I'm a hobby girly.
like I've never seen you really get like super. Well, that's not true. I have seen you get like really into things, but it's like hobbies are like getting
Games.
into like I don't know. I've never really seen you play games until like recently either.
I feel like I don't like well, I bought my Switch 2 years ago. And I feel like I really have struggled to figure out like what kind of games I like. But like when I'm into something, I'm into it. Even think about like board games though. Like I want to play a board game until like it's done. Like I'll like when I find a new board game, I'm like, let's do a board game night. Let's do a board game night. And I get so into it and I'm so competitive and like I get so stressed. I do not have anxiety about anything in life except for games. I swear. Yesterday we had to do a character creation on the game. And in this one you have to pick like if you want to be a human, a demon, an angel, a blah blah blah. There's like 5 of them and you get like different starting perks. And I spent probably 15 minutes sitting there being like, what one do I pick? And my chat was like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can change it later in the game. And I'm like, but what if I pick the wrong choice? And then I had to put my house down.
Okay, think about this. This is my entire life.
I know.
This is what I think about everything.
I
Should I go get gas or should I go to the grocery
don't
store?
know how
Should I
you
do
live.
this or do this? Every single thing. Should I pick my phone up or should I go to the bathroom? That literally decisions like that for literally everything, but every little thing.
I literally don't know how you live because I don't get decision paralysis. And then it comes to video games, board games, things like that. And like things that don't affect me, like regular life, I can just be like, I just go with whatever I want to do in regular life. But in a video game, I'm like, what is going to be the best play? Like, what if I choose wrong? And then I chose wrong at one point, and you get a weapon, and you get a crossbow or sword. And I was like, la-di-da, I'm gonna pick the sword. And then Chris was like, oh, you should have picked the crossbow because like you can get swords really easily in the game, but not crossbows. And I was like, what the fuck?
This is how I felt when I was playing Elden Ring. I was like, who should I start with? What should I do? How should I start? And no one's saying anything in the
Well,
chat.
none of us have
and then
played
I
it.
picked the hardest character to play, and everyone's like, why'd you pick the hardest
Well,
character to play? It's like, well, I mean,
they did say that in the chat.
goodness.
You
like,
just didn't read it.
I don't know.
But like, how do you guys live? Like, I don't know. I was so stressed, and then I had to go watch videos to make sure I was doing the right things for like later on in the game. And it's just a cozy game. It's literally a farm sim. Like all you're doing is building a farm.
I don't understand how you get entertainment out of these games. Like, what do you? Actually, I do because but like, I feel like there's no long-term entertainment. You like binge it for like a little bit, but then after a while, it's like this game is. What am I doing? I play games like that, and then I sit back, I like binge them for a while, and then I think about it. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just like planting this and harvesting it, planting it and harvest. I'm getting nothing. Like I'm literally not doing anything.
I have to romance villagers. I have to go on different quests for the villagers. There's a dragon that grants me more magic. And there's things I can fight too. But I also like I play a video game to like 50 hours and that's it. And then I'm done with it. Like I get so obsessive, I binge it. It's all I want to play. And then like I'm just done with it. Like there's something that clicks in my brain and I'm just like, we could not play this anymore.
I was thinking about that the other day too. I was thinking about that the other day too. Of all the games that we've started, I haven't finished on my stream, and I want to finish most of them. It's like we never actually finished Chain Together. We never finished all of these games I started, and I feel like we need to go back to them. But I also feel like playing new. I just feel like people are gonna get bored watching the same thing over and over again. But maybe that's just my ADHD kicking in. That I think people are getting bored.
I think it's really dependent on whether like you're bored with the game. I feel like once you start getting bored with the game, people
can feel
it. Even yesterday, I played Octopath first, and I feel like I felt bored with it. Like I've played it for 50 hours now, and I was like, I'm kind of just doing the same thing over and over again. I'm kind of bored of this, so then I switched games, and I feel like my energy like spiked when I switched games.
My brain is like that for every single thing I've ever do in my entire life. But I just watched a really good podcast on a neurologist. Bro, I can't talk today.
You
I
said
can
that
never talk.
perfectly fine.
It felt awkward when it came out of my mouth.
You said it fine. It sounded like you said it.
I watched a good podcast with a neurologist, and apparently she's like, well, she is a neurologist, but I think she's also part therapist, and she helps a lot of, like, I don't know, she's like a bit, I don't want to call her like an influencer neurologist, but she helps like a lot of like, she goes on a lot of podcasts and talks about like stuff, but um, it's pretty crazy that like they talk about all those things like ADHD and all those things and like how you get fixated on things and like how you can like rewire your brain and stuff. And I can't even start describing some of the things that she was like talking about, but it's like all according to her proven stuff and things that she's found in her studies and stuff. But I don't know, I thought it was really interesting how you can rewire your brain just with like doing certain things before bed and after bed, like just little things, and it'll change the wiring of your brain so you don't feel things like that about games or like getting hyper fixated on things or like
But why would I
combating
want
your
that?
ADHD and like things like that and like
There's
stress and like she was saying that do you know how many senses do you think there are?
sentences?
Senses,
Senses?
like human senses.
Well, isn't there like the 5 that are like defined as senses?
So there's in school they taught you that there's the 5 senses: touch, feel. That's the same thing. Touch, feel. Wait, touch, smell, sight, hearing, taste. But she said there's up to like 35 senses, and they think that there's more, but they just haven't. They don't know all of the brain's capability. Have you ever heard like your brain? You only use like 20 or 30% of your
Yeah.
entire brain. They think she was saying how they think that your brain dumbs down to this like world and this environment. They think your brain is like so much more capable and able to do so much more, but they can't unlock all those things, and they're starting to be able to like access more of your brain with like their research that they're doing, but like doing brain scans and hooking up and like what triggers what in your brain and like like listening to music will activate this part of your brain or doing this and
I agree with a lot of this stuff, so like this is gonna sound like I don't, but like I would be interested to fact check everything this lady talked about.
but she went to medical school.
That doesn't mean
But
anything.
no, but
That
you
literally
could
means nothing.
no, it doesn't. But they made like with this.
There are a lot of people who go online and just spout crazy things. Like a lot of cult leaders are very, very smart, have doctorates and things like that.
I agree. She seems. I'm not gonna say all the time, but most of the time, I feel like if you're a smart enough person or like you're really listening to what they're saying and not just like actually thinking about what they say, you can usually tell if they're trying to feed you some garbage.
I actually disagree with that, so I think that's interesting. I think
Some people are really good. Some people are just really good talkers, and they can just talk their way around anything. Like they could sell you a bag of marbles because they're just a really good.
I pretty
talker.
much don't trust things unless people are citing their sources these days.
Fair. Yeah, I don't know. Her name's Tara Swart. If anyone wants to go look up.
I do agree with like pretty much everything you said. Of like obviously like we all know that like we don't use all of our brain and they're doing the capabilities. So like I didn't really mean anything about like exactly what you were saying, but I just like find it very interesting how people can go online and just start like saying these things. Also, like do we actually know she went to medical school? Is she just saying she went to medical school? Like like
no, I did
online
a
is such
research.
a like a place for like anyone can be anyone and anything, and I think sometimes it's crazy because some people like are not who they say they are. But yeah, I'm not saying that that's her.
Yeah, no,
but
I know
like
what you mean. Some people can definitely, if you're a good talker, you get away with it. Like make a lot of things seem the way they're not, for sure.
Also, some people just like listen to anything they hear.
And that's the other thing. Like same with social media. Like you can so clearly tell like a video is like photo. Like there's some that are so clearly photoshopped or something. People are like, I can't believe this happened. It was like that video is so unbelievably fake. There's no way you remotely believe that that's real.
Well,
but some people just or like
Trump was using AI to make it look like Taylor Swift was endorsing him. And I was just sitting there and I was like,
Was it actually Trump or was it some like troll?
I think I think if I'm correct, Swift called out Trump in her post, but maybe it was just like Trump supporters. But I'm like, if you have watched Taylor Swift at all, you would know that this is fake. Like,
Yeah, that seems like
if you do any research into her like political stances in the last couple elections, like
I can't see. Well, I actually definitely can see a political party doing something like that, but I don't know. To me, that sounds like someone was trolling and trying to like.
oh, I
But
believe that they would do
I
that.
do believe it. I don't know.
Specifically Donald Trump. But okay, back to what you were saying about this girl and all the science.
I don't even remember really what I was going with. I would recommend someone going to like if you have some type of like mental health condition or whatever you want to call them, or like even just stress, just making your body like feel better like mentally and like thinking about things. It was really interesting to see some of her points of view and like how she kind of combats a lot of the stuff. And I know you're laughing, saying we go to therapy. Blah,
That's
blah.
literally what I was thinking. I was just like, wait, a therapist online told you this. Maybe you should go get actual therapy and you would have learned this 3 years ago. But I didn't want to call you out on the internet.
Feel like
but you did it, so it's fair.
I knew exactly what you were thinking as soon as you smirked that little.
They didn't.
I don't know. And she said,
Ignores
I remember
me.
what I was saying now. Yeah, I don't know. It was just really interesting how she combats all her stuff, and she was saying that like the one that I found really interesting was that your intuition is actually a sense, and your body is like 9 times out of 10 right on intuition, and it knows like if you feel like something is wrong or like you can do something, 9 times out of 10 your body's telling you that you can do it, even though it feels like. She said intuition is a really hard like emotion or like thing to pick out because it's kind of sits in the same place as your brain, like the logical thinking of your brain that tells you like, well, maybe you shouldn't do that because it's not really logical, but your intuition is telling you to do something else. But they kind of like the feeling of them is kind of the same, so it's hard to pick out which is which. She said, which I kind of understand because I always feel like I can do something, but then there's another part of my brain that's telling me like, well, that might not be the most logical thing to do, or like, but your intuition is saying is everything is telling you to go do that thing or whatever it is, but there's something that says, well, that might not be the smartest thing to do, even though she was saying your intuition might be the more right thing to follow all the time. And she said it's the same kind of a feeling like intuition is the same as feeling nervous where you get like the butterflies in your gut. It's like a real feeling and your body's telling you that you're nervous because of this or that, and it's a real sense, but it's a hard sense to like grab and like recognize that it's there. Which I don't know, I just found it interesting that's
I think
because most people would.
Listening to you talk though, like I feel like it's interesting because I feel like this also goes back to parenting. Like I feel like I've always listened to myself because my parents always taught me to. Like if you're not hungry, don't eat. If you're hungry, eat something. If you are sad, be sad. If you want to go do this, go do this. If you don't want to go do this. But then I also think there's a balance to be made between your intuition and logic. Because, for example, if you're out one day and you're like, I really want to go sleep with that girl, but you're logically like, I have a girlfriend. Like there's a balance
I
to
don't
be
think
made.
that's intuition though. Your intuition is not telling you that but like this is the right path for you to go down is to
some people I feel like you could say that is though. Like even like
I guess
an intuition be because like I think in my head something like that could be more intuition if someone was like thinking like this is like I shouldn't be with my girlfriend and I'm gonna go sleep with this person, but then you still technically cheated.
Yeah, but
like the logical thing is to break up first and
well,
then
maybe
go.
that's the thing is you should listen to your intuition, but break up with her and do
Yes,
the right
like
thing.
there's a balance.
There's a difference between doing the right thing and like
yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was really.
But yeah, I feel like my parents always taught me these things, so I think that's really interesting. Like,
Well, my parents were definitely more like everything has to be logical and everything has to be safe and make sense.
And I feel like we see that in each other's personalities quite a bit. Like you're a lot more like logical, like this makes sense, this makes sense. And I'm just like vibey. Like I just go with the flow. I'm like, if I want to do something, like if I feel nervous about something, I'm not gonna do it.
And I want to get myself to be more reliant on that part of me because there's so many, and maybe that's just I'm too optimistic, but I feel like there's a part of me like sometimes I get it a lot, but there's sometimes where it's just way stronger than others. Where you're just like laying in bed and you're thinking about like I could really do this, and I know this could happen. Or there's times where you're laying there and it's like you can just it just feels like it's already happening on the right path towards something that you want. I don't know where else, what else to.
I feel like it just circles back to I feel like everything we've talked about on this podcast about like following your dreams and how you kind of hold yourself back.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
and like she said, and she said like manifesting is such a real thing in the terms of how it wires your brain to pursue and like get those intuition feelings and like she said you definitely can't just manifest it's going to happen. There still needs to be action. Like she said, like her her best example of it is like you always make vision boards, but she calls them action boards because she said you can manifest it, but you still have to have action to it. You can't just look at it and it's going to happen. There still has to be some type of like, but it helps rewire your brain and train your brain to get those intuitive thoughts and emotions and like to work towards your thing so it feels right, but you're not just
you're like
making something up and just hoping someone's going to come and save you or something's going to happen and change in your life. Does that make sense? Or am I just talking about?
No, it makes sense, but I just feel like I already knew this.
I knew that too, but it just
I'm not a listen to speakers. Like I don't like to be told things that I already know versus I feel like you really
you're
do.
so mean.
What do you mean?
If someone was excited about something, you would just let them tell you it.
No, I would, but like I'm not gonna. What I meant is like I'm not gonna go sit in like people like to listen to just like people like motivational speakers. I'm not that person.
But sometimes they build off of it, and you can like add on to that or like where that stems from. It helps you use that thought or strength like stronger. Or
I
better.
don't find that happens to me. So like I'm not gonna go listen to something like that because I just don't enjoy it. But like people enjoy it, and I feel like you are someone who I feel like would really like do well because I think you like to be retold the things you already know by other people. Like you like to feel more included. Like
what?
I'm feeling this way, I'm thinking this way, someone else feels this way, and someone else thinks this way. Like hearing it from someone else, like a perspective that's similar to yours, I think really helps you. I don't think I need that most of the time. Like I feel like I'm very like strong and my opinion is correct.
Yeah, but don't you think like watching something that would like help you, okay, maybe my opinion's not entirely correct, or I could strengthen my opinion, or
like
I could use this, like I know I'm capable of listening to myself. You're very intuitive, we'll call it that. But how could I make that intuitiveness more useful or like more impactful instead of kind of just using the little bit that I know about it?
I mean, like, I guess my best example of this is that I do watch a lot of like YouTube videos, like how to grow on YouTube and things like that. But only from certain channels that I feel like are telling me new things every single time. I like if you are just relating the things I already know, I don't want to watch you.
Yes, I know what you mean, but like sometimes there's like a little bit in there that it's like, okay, I definitely know this already, but they build on it way more because they're smarter and more knowledgeable.
I hated school, and I just feel like I don't really like to learn.
I like
to learn naturally.
I didn't like school, but I like to learn about things that I want to learn about, if that makes sense. Like learning about whatever in school was either didn't interest me or it didn't impact. I didn't think it was useful in my life or whatever it was going to be. But like learning about things like that, I don't know. I find it interesting. I find like there's so much that they don't know about the brain. There's so much that they think that like it's capable of, but they just need to figure out how to get there. It's like exploring the ocean.
I think you and people like you will go further in life because of this. I think it's a really good.
I don't know.
What do you mean? I'm saying that you're gonna like do better because like you're willing to learn. I feel like the smartest people that I know, like the people who, and like smart is like not necessarily like brain smart, I guess, but like smart in terms of like they accomplished a lot. Like the people that accomplish most in my life are people who are learning, who are always growing and teaching themselves. I don't think I'm that person. I'm perfectly happy at the standard I'm at. And it's a really bad trait in me probably. But I don't know, like I like even photography, like a lot of the photographers who did like really, really well were taking courses like 2, 3 times a year. I had to force myself to take a course once a year and I hated
But
it. And I loved photography, but I liked learning it on my own. Like I liked doing it and learning from that.
do you think part of that though is that you weren't really passionate about it?
I don't think so because I really loved it at the start. Like I really loved it.
Because, there's also I think different levels of passion. There's definitely things that you like, but then there's definitely things that you like.
Yes, and I feel like photography is something I loved. I was doing it since I was like 8.
That's fair.
I just hate it.
But then there's also the other parts of it that like, you like the photography part of it, but you hated the business part of it,
Yes, I hated this
which
part.
then probably tainted your love for photography a little bit.
Yes.
Um,
But I'm not a learner. I hate learning. Like I hate someone, I guess I hate being told what to do, truly. So like I think I hate having to sit there and have you like lecture me versus like a conversation where it comes up naturally is different to me and I'll like learn and listen to people like that. And like
no, I just don't think you like when people tell you anything.
I don't like to be told that I'm wrong.
Like I told you, I was like, "Oh, Cassie, your catalytic converter was so full of thing." I was fixing Cassie's car. I was like, "I should have sent you a picture of how plugged your thing was," and she's like, "I don't care." I was like, "Oh, "Okay."
Well,
I know that's not what you meant, but it
you
was
said
like,
it like you felt bad that you didn't send me a picture, and I was like, I don't really care. Like, I don't need a picture because I believe you that you said it was full. Like, I don't need to see the proof. I don't think you're lying to me. Like,
I know. It's just
like you
you.
told me it was so full, and I said, okay, cool. Like, I didn't need to see it to believe you.
I know you believe. I don't know.
And like, I don't like cars. I don't really care what it looked like in there. Like, it's not something that I'm going to find interesting and entertaining. Now, you want to send me a new picture of a new shiny book? Sure.
That's fair.
I feel like if I sent you random pictures of my books all the time, you wouldn't care.
You do though. Sometimes you're like, look how. That's like you sending me a picture. Look at this. Look how pretty this new
You
bookmark
don't
looks,
like
or
cars.
how pretty this special edition is.
You don't like cars.
I don't.
But if you send me pictures of like music, you would show me music. I'm interested in you're listening to music. I would ask to get music. If you're passionate about it, yes, I want to see it. But if you're sending it to me just because you feel bad that you didn't send me a photo, I don't
I
need to
didn't feel
see
bad.
it. You're not like, oh my god, I worked on your car. This is so cool that this was filled with something. Like you're not. You're just like meh. Most of the time I send you my pictures too because I drew them. So I'm like, look at what I drew.
Yes, I know. I know. You are just strong in your.
Don't like being told what to do, that's for sure. I have to like, you have to bring the horse to water for me. Like you have to lead me there, but you can't like shove a cup in my face. I'm not gonna drink it then. But if you like make it feel like I chose to walk this path and I chose to end up
See,
at the
my
water,
brain neuroscience. Now I can psychologically train you to push you in a path.
you could.
Now that I know nothing about brain science, but once I do, I will be the strongest.
No, I am.
Brain emperor.
You have to lead me there. I don't like to be told.
I know. I've noticed that in you.
Yeah, I don't hide it. I do not hide it at all. Everyone in my life will know this, including all of my patrons. We had a content plan, and they were like, "Why do we content plan? We tell you ideas, and because we told you to do them, you don't want to do them." And I'm like, "You're not wrong."
Yeah, I don't know. If anyone wants to look up Tara Swart, I think she's got a bunch of interviews. The ones I watched was her with Theo Vaughn. It was, I don't know. I thought it was really good. And then I guess the last thing on that is they were talking about how even just like different things that trouble you in life or like stresses will build up in certain parts of your body.
Mhm.
And like I always like heard people talk about that, but I always thought that was kind of like a myth-ish. Like it wasn't actually proven, but I don't know. Like same with like the astrology stuff. It's like it's kind of true, but like not like it's so broad and generic that it could really be anything. Um, but yeah, I looked up like where my body hurts and stuff, and it was like financial stress,
Mhm.
worried about the future,
Mhm.
a- and I think those were like the two biggest ones, and I feel like that's me to a T.
Well, if you think about it, like stress, all those emotions are in your body.
Yeah,
It's not. It's inside of you, so your body is trying to deal with what you're doing to it. It's trying to cope.
yeah. I don't know. I just thought I looked up the like pain body chart, and it was like financial problems, worrying about the future, and like always worried about like having things to do or something. And that's like all three of those
Nick
are
to a
literally me.
T.
And I was like, yep, these are all the places my body hurts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was really interesting.
I see how it would be. I'm not that person.
I don't know. I always wanted to be some type of
Motivational speaker?
no. I don't do.
I know you
I don't
don't
know if
public
we
speak. We talked about it.
talked about this, but public speaking, which is weird that I want to do YouTube and stuff. Public speaking is not. I don't know if I could. Even if I got big enough one day, I don't know if I could. Like you know how YouTubers go and do like a show where like
Mhm.
I don't know if I would be able to do it. I would want to like challenge myself and get out of my shell, but I don't know if I could do it.
You won't even get married because you don't want to be it.
I don't want people to look at me,
So, yeah.
but yet I want people to watch me on the internet.
It's different because they're not
But
around.
and also I feel like I can't see their like facial. I can tell when I'm like in a room like talking to someone or something, and you can tell the moment that they check out or they're not interested or like disapprove of like or like they're like why would you say it like you know
Don't let
and I
it get
can
to you.
see that in their face and then I'm like oh okay well I guess I'll just stop talking
I
then.
guarantee you half the time it's in your head too.
I don't know. I feel like I can pick up on social cues well most of the time.
I think that you can, but then you also
I definitely am an
over
overthinker
exaggerate
for
them.
sure, and then I dwell on it. That's the worst part is I see it in the moment and then I dwell on it instead of just moving past it.
So you're telling me that if I start a cult, you're not gonna public speak at my cult for me?
No.
Damn it.
Why would you recruit me as your public speaker? We just talked about this. You need to have someone that's influential, that is a good speaker. I feel like I'm an okay speaker, but I still stumble over my things. Like some people are so fluent in speaking, they can talk about
Me too.
horse shit, and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that's so amazing," or "That's."
But I feel like you're relatable. And I feel like a good cult leader and their posse needs to also be relatable, but also on like a pedestal.
I feel like that's a social media influencer to the T.
I mean, we're pretty much cult. Like, I would say most of them are kind of cult leaders.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, most things in life feel like a cult if you actually think about it.
Like what?
I feel like the like different sections of like the internet kind of feel like one. Like you follow like certain people and then you all like listen to everything they say. You like
Well, see, this is this thing where I'm saying like you need to listen to what people are saying. Like when they start saying something, you're like, okay, that doesn't quite seem right. You need to question it a little bit and not just follow it. That's what I mean.
agree, but I don't think everyone has the common sense
Social
to do
awareness.
that.
I agree, but I sometimes you
Or
just
the
need
ability to do it.
think a little bit, like
I mean, religion
because
is essentially a cult. Most of them. Like,
yeah,
I don't think it makes them bad. I'm not saying that. I don't think internet's bad.
No.
But like
but
the idea behind them is really a cult.
I think it's like anything. Like I think there's some like if two churches they're like the same church and they believe in the same thing, the leader of that church or the pastor, whatever they're the monk or whatever the representation of like the thing is, could be a way better person than the one at this one.
Agreed.
And this one could be weaponizing it, and this one could just actually be pushing like
Agreed.
the knowledge and like the love and whatever the good things that go with it, and this person could be weaponizing it. And it's so dependent on like if you have a good rep. I don't know. I'm not a religion person, so I don't
They're all
But
different. They
it's
have
like
different
anything.
terms.
Same with the social media person. This person could actually be looking for your interest, and this person could seem like like they're interested in your well being and but they're really just trying to make their money or do whatever, and they actually don't really give a shit about.
I agree.
That's what you just need to think about, and like it's so easy, I think, for people to feel connected to someone because like their life and their videos and stuff are so personal that it's so easy for them to get attached to someone when the person on the other side of the camera doesn't. Most of them, I would say, don't give a shit about who's behind the camera watching. They're just doing their, and it's easy to listen to them.
Never know what's behind closed doors. Okay, there's a new reality show. It's called The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
I saw you guys talking about this in Discord.
Did you know about the Mormon wife swingerness? Apparently, it was so big on TikTok, and I actually hadn't known about it.
No, I don't think so. I know that, I think, I don't want to get in trouble, but I think Mormon men are allowed to have a bunch of wives.
I don't know that. I don't think
That's not what you're talking
it's
about?
Mormonism. No. So, when TikTok first started, there was a couple Mormon moms who came on and they started making mom talk a thing. Like that's how, I don't know if you've been on mom talk ever, but it's like moms showing like I'm normal, I do these things like this, like it's like showing your life as a mom. And so they all got together and they started making mom talk, and then a bunch of the couples started hanging out and they started swinging. And like Mormons
Like,
are
wait.
very strict about things like this.
Yes, they're like, you can't. Maybe they can't. Maybe I should cut that part out of what I said. I don't know.
That's fine.
I don't mean that for some reason I thought that was a thing.
Some religions it's a thing, so.
So wait, sorry, these are people off of TikTok that got together?
Yeah, like they got really big on TikTok, mom talk. They're like blew up as influencers. And they all like were like hanging out together. And
they all just started fucking each other.
They started swinging, and then one of them went on a live and just outed it all.
Oh my gosh, savage.
Because there was like rumors apparently starting to pop up, and so she wanted to like get ahead of the rumors, and she just did like a live show and just outed everything. And so now there's a reality show about them and like what actually happened, or like it's about their lives now, but like they kind of talk about all the swinging. And she recently did a podcast and she like said like, because everyone, they called them light swinging. No. They were full on having intercourse. I don't know how you call that light swinging. Like she outs them. She was like, it started off with like the wives making out because the guys were like, oh, you guys should make out. It's hot. And then like it escalated to them like naked making out. And then all of a sudden they were like swapping partners. And then the one guy was like, wait, we have to stop doing this because like what if someone gets pregnant and we won't know who the dad is?
Oh my gosh.
But then like feelings started to like, because they didn't have any like, most people who swing have like ground rules. Like you can't do this, and it's like you can't stay over at someone's house. Like you can't like go for dinner with them. Like it's like things like that. Like they just like have ground rules. They had no rules because they were just like, she said most of them had never had any relationship with anyone else because like a lot of Mormons get like married at like 18, like they're having kids really early on, like things like that. And yeah, I think it's crazy. Now they have a reality show just about
Looks
that.
like we're becoming Mormon.
Oh my lord! Which is now why I want to go get dirty sodas. Because they talk about them on the show.
Every time you say dirty soda is drugs. In the rap world, and I made a lot of like hip hop music when I'm in my producing era. Dirty soda is lean, cough syrup, and pop.
I mean, same idea. Drug. It's the same idea. It's a dirty pop.
So every time you say it, I just think we're going to get drugs and we're going to get arrested.
It is because it's the idea, the same thing. It's literally the same concept without the drugs because it's pop and then you put things inside of it.
What do they put in them? In a Mormon soda?
Well, okay, it's not that they're Mormon sodas. It's just...
Wait, did they invent it? I thought that's what happened.
So they're really big in Utah. And I think, don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure it's because like Mormons can't have caffeine, but they're allowed pop, but not a lot of that. Depending on how you're, like we said earlier, like it's really dependent on who is your rep,
and how much you
So a lot of them can still have like pop with caffeine in it, and so their coffee shops aren't as big, but these dirty soda places are big, and they just like go like they'll drink like 3 of these a day. It started with Coca-Cola, coconut cream and a lime wedge, and then it kind of like spiraled from there into like other drinks and stuff.
So is it like creamy like a smoothie, or is it like
It depends what you put in them. Like
thin
there's
like a pop still?
peach purees. I think it's like thin like a pop. Destiny last night on stream kind of said, because people are like, well, putting cream in pop sounds disgusting, and she was like, do you like a float? And I was like, see,
Ice cream floats are
ice
root
cream
beer
floats are
float?
bangers.
Put. I wonder if that's a thing. Have you ever had a float in the world? People that are out there in the
I'm
ether?
pretty sure floats.
Is that a thing, or is
Yes.
that like a American thing?
I think it's everywhere.
You take ice cream and then you pour a pop in it and
A
you make
soda.
an ice cream float.
So there's a bunch of different flavors at this place. Me and Nick are going to get one. There's a food truck in our city that does them, and I'm making him go. And like you can put different creams, different like purees of fruit, different things in it. But really, I saw it on the show. Destiny Landon had them when we were at Stampede. They stopped for them, but
Oh, really? I've never even heard of them. The only thing I know of dirty soda is drugs.
But do you understand that they're kind of the same thing?
Yes. Well, I
like
mean, that's
concept. They came from each other, probably. I don't know which one came first. Probably the actual.
I don't know. I feel like.
But
Who knows? I don't know. People, I think, have been abusing cough syrup for a long time.
This
and
is
then
true.
They just wanted it to taste better, so they.
Mm-hmm. We don't condone that behavior. Only non-drug dirty sodas allowed.
I've never even done a drug in my life.
I mean, it's legal here, but
Does weed count as a drug, even though?
I think it does. It's not legal everywhere.
I haven't done. That's fair, I guess. I feel like it's not even I don't know.
It is legal here.
It's a drug. I guess caffeine is a drug too, if you want to start getting technical.
Booze.
Honestly,
Booze is a legal drug.
True. I found caffeine actually makes me feel like shit after I drink it for like more than a week. Like if I don't take like a couple days in there where I don't drink coffee,
You probably should stop drinking it.
I don't feel good and like
A lot of people say that they start feeling better in the morning, more motivated to do things. Their body feels better when they stop drinking coffee.
I feel like whenever I had coffee, I heard coffee makes ADHD better. I'm not saying that to use that as a vice, but I feel like it combats it a little bit.
I don't know.
It levels out your. I've seen videos. I don't know if they're true or accurate, but they said it'll kind of does the same thing as like medication for ADHD. Not a doctor, so allegedly.
Don't listen to us. Do your research.
Which I do found like when I have coffee in the morning, I'm like more focused for like a few hours.
Do you feel like it runs off? Like, do you want another coffee? Like, are you like?
I know
we talked about me not having an addictive personality, but I feel like you actually have an addictive personality.
Oh,
so.
I think so. When I first started going to the casino, I was like, oh, I need to go to the casino tomorrow. I need to go again. I'm like,
see, I just get addicted to things that aren't a problem.
I do, but I think that's like with anything. Like once I start something, I'm like, oh, I can do this the best, or like this will be the best ever because
You're like,
I want to
could
get the
be
best at this and
best gambler in the entire
Literally.
world.
I don't know.
I mean, winning is a high for sure. Like, I
When
feel
you
like I
win
do chase
gambling,
highs.
You definitely get a high.
I feel like you have to some way be chasing highs to be like what we are. Like posting a video when it does well, like the high is so good, and I'm always chasing like the next number one video because like on YouTube it tells you like it ranks your like recent 10 videos, and when you post a video it like puts it in the thing, and I'm always like be number one, and then it's not, and I'm like, well, I have to make a better video so that it will be number one.
Yeah.
So I feel like you
else?
have to be like chasing a high to like be a creative in
I
some
think so.
aspect.
I think for sure you're not a normal person if you're a creator.
Mm-hmm. But there's a whole bunch of us out there, so. Oh, I know what we could talk about. I watched.
This episode or next episode? We're at 43.
I don't have that much to say. I don't think.
Okay, give her.
I watched the Demi Lovato Child Star documentary. 2 nights ago. That's why I stayed up till 2 a.m. And I thought it was insane to see like how much they work her. Like she talks about being on Disney and like how like she started, she filmed Camp Rock. She went and toured. No, she went and made an album right after that. She went and toured for 60 days. Then they gave her 2 days off, nothing scheduled, and she was supposed to start Sunny with a Chance the next day, essentially. And then they were like, actually, we need you to be rehearsing those 2 days. So then she filmed her first season of Sunny with a Chance. And then she went and filmed Camp Rock 2, and then she did another album, and then she went another tour. And she's like, I was so alone and depressed and like dealing with all of this.
How old was she?
I think she was
Like 15 or something?
15-ish.
The world of child acting is a whole nother crazy, scary place.
So the other thing that they talked about that was really cool was if you're a child actor, you have in most states, I don't really know what it is in Canada, but in most states there's a law that's passed that if you're a child actor, you have to get a certain percentage of your income when you turn 18. So they have to be saving money so that when you're 18 you have money so that parents
That's cool.
can't like steal your money.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's really terrifying that there's nothing like this for the internet. Because they interviewed a bunch of kids and they're like, what do you watch? And every kid said YouTube, Mr. Beast.
Mm-hmm.
There's like this kid star that like plays
Ryan's
games.
Toys.
I think so.
Yeah.
And like she was like, where does his money go? Like she was like,
he's
like
making. I watched some. If that's the same person, he's like the epitome. Is that the right word? The epitome? I don't know. He's like the golden child of like child YouTube channel and like plays with toys.
Yeah, he just like plays with toys and
reviews toys and stuff for like other kids, and like he is like the golden child of like making kids toys reviews, and he's just this little kid, and he's making stupid amounts of money.
Literally.
Stupid, like more
but
money.
He's not making it. His parents are making it, and he's doing all the work.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in place.
I mean, his parents have to be doing something because otherwise the kid's
well,
not going to
like
edit
he's editing and stuff.
Up and...
But
yes, 90%.
It's his likeness. It's his
brand. Yes.
He's gonna grow up, and he didn't. I think there's a lot of talk about how putting your kids on the internet is bad because they didn't get to like opt into it at all, especially if you started so young. But like, at least you should be making money, which is why a law like that would be really good, where like they have to get money.
But how do you govern that? Because no one.
The same way that you do it for child stars.
Yeah, but there's no company that owns I'm not gonna say owns. Owns is
I mean, Disney kind of owned them.
Employs the kid because the kid is just its own thing. It's just the parents and the kid. Where like,
but you're a business still. If you're making YouTube videos, you have to be registered business, so it's the same thing.
I guess you would have to just pay into like. There would have to be some type of fund that you
like a trust
comes off your paycheck, just like pension plan or anything else that your country does. Yeah.
Which I thought that was interesting to talk about.
There is too, which I think once you get all your stuff figured out, I was reading you can get like insurance and stuff for like a creator, like health insurance and stuff.
They're really starting to see it as a job in the documentary. Even like Demi talked about how we've already like the internet, like YouTube influencers, TikTok has surpassed TV watching, like the peak TV watching, like double the amount. Like
I always
it's insane.
I said that probably like 5-7 years ago that YouTube will be bigger than mainstream TV.
It definitely is now. Which is also crazy because like I grew up wanting to be a Disney star. Like I've never felt like I've obviously wanted to be on the internet and stuff, but it wasn't the same. Like you weren't expecting like I was like, I want to be on Disney. Like I want to be Selena Gomez. I want to be Hannah Montana. But I don't think that like when I watched maybe I would have if I watched it when I was younger, but it was never like I want to be this person. It was like I want to create content. Versus in Disney, I was like, I want to be that.
Your A-stars are definitely going to be your YouTubers and stuff.
All my little cousins don't watch TV. Like, you'll put a TV on, they're like, why are you watching TV? Like, they watch YouTubers.
I knew that was going to be... I called that. I'm sure in our old podcast, which I don't even know if they're on Spotify or not, because I stopped paying for it. I don't know. But I guarantee there's some episodes in there that
we talked about
that stuff, and that was like right before COVID. That was 4 or 5 years ago. I had one other thing I was gonna.
You know, it was like really insane. They talked about a lot of like Drew Barrymore was on there and she was talking about growing up as a child star and like she
Jeez,
was
Drew.
you would know Drew Barrymore if you saw a picture of her.
Oh, it's a chick. Why
Yeah.
is her name Drew?
She was in E.T. She's a
Never seen
little
it.
girl in E.T.
Never
and
seen
that was like
E.T.
her first thing that was really big, but she pretty much started at like 3 months old. She was in like a commercial as a baby. Um and a lot of them have drug and Demi talked about the stats of being a star and like how it's proven that they die 10 years earlier. They're more likely to commit suicide. That like there are so many stats that she like listed out.
Well, that was the other thing with the brain thing. The neurologist, they talked about how important sleep is, and when you're doing that many shows and that many things, like they're not sleeping proper amounts.
Yeah, there's one point where her mom talked about how there was a tour she was supposed to perform, go on stage with the Jonas Brothers, and they had been doing stuff all day. And Demi was like, "Mom, I just need to sleep," and she slept. She like, "Give me 10 minutes," and she could not wake her up. Like she was conked out, and that was like her mom was like, "This was a moment where I realized that I needed to be
A parent.
like I needed to tell Disney that like we can't keep doing this. Like we'll still do your things, but give us more time to sleep because like she's not sleeping." And she talked about how like to rebel she was like partying on the weekend and she said, "If you're going to work me like an adult, I'm going to party like an adult." And like her story is like really like
Well, that's
heavy
the thing
hitting.
too. Like, I feel like even that like trust fund or whatever you're talking about, I feel like they should do something like that, but they should take most of the money because there's no reason a 16-year-old needs millions and millions of dollars.
No, she said,
Like your brain isn't like you're not allowed to vote, you're not allowed to drink, you're not allowed to do other things because your brain is not like capable of making
mm-hmm.
important decisions until you're like 25. Like they
Well,
should give you
most of
enough
them
to
the
live
money
and
goes
like
to your parents. That's the thing. Most of them like you're not getting like your parents are your beneficiary. They're
but
getting
still I
paid.
think a lot of those parents are most of them are well, then
Most
there's
of
the
them
other side where they take all the
a
money
lot
and
of
they
them
don't give
take
them
it.
any.
If
But
you look into child stars, most of them have
but look at
parents
Justin
who
Bieber. He
took
even
their
said like
money.
he got so like he had way too much money than he
Mm-hmm.
should have had at that age and it fucked him up for a while.
100%. He was just fancy cars, drugs, things like that. She said that she got her first paycheck because I don't know if you knew it. Demi Lovato was on Barney. That's where she started. And so she's like, I got my first paycheck for Barney, and I remember it being like $500, and me just thinking like, I can buy so much candy. Like $500 was like the world to me.
But then once you start getting to that age of like high school and stuff where people are starting to do drugs
Mm-hmm.
and like drink and like things and like spend you're kind of a little bit more of the world aware of the world and like what's going on. You have more access to things.
A lot of
But
them.
your decision making is still not entirely there. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think anyone once they get a stupid amount of money, they just start
Well,
regardless of how you're old. But I think definitely it's worse as a
the
child.
thing is, people think, oh, the more money, like the more you'll save and stuff. Really, what happens is your spending becomes different. You're spending more things on like more expensive things. Like instead of saving the money, you buy a car where your payments are $1,000 a month instead of $400 a month. Or like, you know, like your house, your payment on your house goes up. Like,
Yep.
um, just because someone is a millionaire doesn't mean that they have money. That's the thing. Like they can be broke. Like a lot of them are so broke because
Mm-hmm.
they just spend all their money. Most athletes go broke after retirement. Even though they had stupid amount of money, they just spend it. Like some don't, but like
People get used to the lifestyle and then they can't stop
mhm.
spending. And
Yeah. If you have any interest, it's on Disney Plus. The Child Star. It was really interesting. She talked to a lot of them. Jojo Siwa was in it. She talked
she
about
had a
coming out and how she wasn't invited to like Nickelodeon things after she came out and like
is she
yeah.
LGBTQS?
Yeah, she's dating well, I don't know if she still is, but she was dating a woman. Um they made her call when she came out. Nickelodeon called her and was like, you have to call every brand that you have to deal with and tell them that you're not going crazy. And she had to call every single
Isn't that
person
fucked up that like
just to say like
people won't do brand deals or like pay you to or won't let you be in movies or like hire you at certain jobs just because I mean that's the whole thing.
it's insane. It's
Yeah.
it's insane. We don't really have to get into it, but it's just it's a deep dark world that people
Why can't
think
people
those
just
things.
be people? The way I see it is, as long as you're not harming anyone
I would agree.
or anything, like your morals are still good. Like, do whatever you want. Makes you happy.
Just don't go around murdering
Just
people.
don't. As long as it doesn't harm people mentally, physically, just
Let them be them.
or their properties, their things.
The thing is, people are dumb and they think that it does harm. They're like, you're gonna turn this person gay. I'm like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
People are just some people. That's again. Some people just don't have the like. Again, social awareness to just think about things. I don't know. I think we can wrap it up there.
Yeah. Well, go watch Child Star. Go watch the TikTok person, and
It's not a TikTok person.
I thought you saw it on TikTok.
No, I watched a
Oh.
YouTube podcast.
Sorry. You
Theo
probably said
Ron and
podcast. I only
Dr.
watched
Tara
those.
Swart, neurologist.
We can link them down below.
Bye.
Bye.